So Dan chews a lot of chewing gum, eats a lot of protein bars, drinks a lot of Diet Coke. Like it's so habitual. Like he does it all the time. Yeah, like little things. Like for me, coffee, loads of it. Like even without thinking about it or really wanting it, loads of coffee. Always on my phone. Gemma was saying like alcohol's probably her thing.
Everyone has a vice.
Yeah, vice is probably...
It's kind of like a safe zone, isn't it, that you go back to?
The default behaviour
you feel comfortable in, yeah. I think mine would probably be, using my phone, maybe with like double screening Netflix on in the background with phone in hand, scrolling through something.
You're listening to the Propane Fitness Podcast, your ultimate resource for fat loss and muscle gain, with none of the gimmicks. With your hosts, Yusuf and Johnny. Simple rules, dramatic results.
But you've just picked alcohol out of your life, haven't you? Just like picked it and cast it aside for 6 months.
Yeah, to see what happened.
Better?
Fantastic, yeah.
But not so better that you're going to never drink again.
So here's my conclusion on having completed 6 months sober. So it's probably going to be, it's actually close to like 5.5 weeks of sober. 5.5 months. 5.5 months of being sober.
So can you talk us through how much were you drinking beforehand and what was the reason for wanting to stop?
So I wasn't drinking an awful lot. I'm not a massive drinker, even as a club promoter. I'd probably say that in terms of volume of total drinks per week, it would probably be on an average, but that would be very infrequent. It's just that the volumes that I would drink when I did drink were so high that it compensated for the big gaps in between.
I see.
So it would be a week without drinking and then 20 beers, and then a week without drinking and then 15 beers, or whatever it is. So halfway through December, decided to kind of get a bit of a head start on what I knew was going to be a year where I wanted to do some New Year's resolutions and start changing some habits, and decided that if I committed to something beforehand, that it would form a basis for a bunch of other stuff to then build on top. And it actually ended up working really well, because the confidence that I got from being able to not drinking, the habit setting of not drinking, then permitted me to build further habits. And it was like, well, you've already done this one, so of course you can do that. And just the level of hopefulness improved. So yeah, wasn't drinking an awful lot, but was definitely...
So that's from like, I've proven to myself that I can stop drinking, and so...
One habit's gone, everything else is just follow the same.
I'd imagine on a pragmatic level as well, it's like if you haven't had 20 beers the night before, even though it was infrequent, that means that the next day is then opened up. There's more.
My main reason for doing it was that I get bad hangovers. Like, how many people do you see that post, like, today is the day after a bank holiday Sunday, and my timeline this morning from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. was littered with, oh my god, never drinking again. Like, that was it. Just, mate, what are you drinking for, me? That was all it was. And you think, the level of regret and pain that you go through when you have a hangover is so catastrophic on your time. If you were to look at your time, if you were to look at yourself as a business and your time as your resource, your primary resource, if you were doing a set of year-end accounts and trying to maximize your profit, you would look at the biggest costs that were coming off that time and you would remove them. And for me, once every week to once every 2 weeks, writing off an entire day to be 30% as productive or 50% as productive as I should be normally is just the first place to start. It was the huge, massive overhead cost.
When you put it like that, it's huge. And I imagine you don't feel particularly good on that day either. It's not as if...
Awful.
So like your productivity's gone down, but so is your well-being and your mood. And I think it's offset. It's greater than the boost that you get the night before from the drinking.
That must be, though, that everyone goes into a night out having been on one already before in the past, so they already know. Everyone at the start of the night, tomorrow morning, I'm probably not going to feel great, but everyone still keeps going, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
You
and
forget
more and more and more.
You feel invincible, don't you? When you've had it.
Once you've had a few drinks, then
you forget about the fact that you're ever going to feel bad the next day, and you just keep on.
And there's like we're all in it together, and
absolutely group.
So mentality. What's been the best thing about it, and what's been the worst thing about it?
Best thing about it's just, I guess, my productivity.
Feeling better.
Yeah, ability to time manage. I've not been knocked off. The only times that I've been knocked off routine have been when it's been things that have been out of my control. Work's got in the way, or illness, stuff like that. As opposed to, you have a certain level of guilt when you want to achieve things and you have stopped yourself from achieving them because you went out and got pissed. Like that's the extra layer of shame that comes with that self.
Not only did I not do it,
thing.
but I didn't do it because it was something I did.
Yeah.
Like something that I did that I know was not on track or.
Yeah. And I knew in advance, and I knew what was going to happen, and it was my choice, and no one forced me to. Yeah. And I've done it before.
And I'll do it again.
Exactly.
Makes you feel like a bit of a dingus. Yeah.
It's just when you look at it pragmatically, it is such a bizarre situation for people to put themselves into. And obviously this is me fucking from the top of a very, very high 5.5 month horse, looking down upon all of the hungover peasants on the floor.
Because it's nice, isn't it? If we're honest, like I enjoy drinking. I enjoy what comes with drinking. I wouldn't drink by myself in a room.
No.
But I enjoy the social scenarios that tend to...
So probably one of the most insightful things that we got from the Menno Henselman's interview, which was a few weeks back, if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, is where he talks about how you can get drunk and minimise the impact of it. He's like, on a night out, the goal is to get as drunk as possible on the minimum alcohol as possible, both for the liver load but also for cost and feeling the next day. So he's like, try and drink on an empty stomach, try and have it all in one go at the beginning of your night, and then you've maximised your drunkenness.
That's
and it tails
presuming
off.
that the only reason that you want to go out is to get drunk, though, not to enjoy drinks, because I actually enjoy the process of
drinking 20 beers.
Of drinking a beer, not 20 beers. But
it's the process of getting drunk. It's enjoyable, not
being drunk.
The
end result is not. It, for me, is not all that enjoyable. Like being a mess wandering about isn't all that fun. It's the process of getting there. What am I going to drink next? Am I going to buy? Oh, someone's got me a shot. Oh, that's funny. Like, oh, I'm going to get a shot.
I'm going to do the shot.
Yeah.
Oh, it was horrible. Let's do another one. Yeah, but it's...
So I think...
So what was the worst thing?
It's
Did you have any?
It's not tremendously good. If you're desperately on a shagging spree, it's not tremendously good.
You lose your lubricant. Social lubricant.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to try and keep it short. Interesting point about the social lubricant side of stuff. I think a lot of the time as guys, and this is definitely for me in the past as well. If I had approach anxiety, so I was scared to approach a girl in a club, or scared to approach girls generally in a club, I would get myself blind drunk, and then the next morning sometimes would wake up in bed next to a girl with no idea of how I'd done it, but when I was sober knew that I couldn't. So something happened when I drank that removed my inhibitions, that stopped the approach anxiety. Now what has happened obviously with not being able to be drunk has been that I've only had two choices. It's either been that I have to learn to be able to approach, or that I don't at all, and there's no option. So there's no route out via alcohol where I just fucking magic myself into a bed the next morning with a girl next to me. So it's put the onus completely in my hands with regards to this, which has been quite interesting. But in terms of the sort of one of the bad things, I suppose, you do miss out on social situations a little bit, because even though I've pushed myself to go out as much as possible, Johnny, you've gone out and I've joined you on nights out and been sober and still really enjoyed them, you don't go out as much. There will inevitably be less of a reason for you to go out because well, I'm going to drive, everyone else is going to be wrecked. I guess the calibre of the night outs that you're prepared to go on raise as well, because you'll go on a shit night out and enjoy it if you're pissed, but you will not go on a rubbish night out and be sober with people who you maybe don't know or don't like or whatever it is, because your tolerance for them is going to be so much lower.
I think it brings a lot more. Some people are really critical of it. Some people don't like people coming to things if they're not drinking, or because I think some people have like a, they're a ghost at the feast kind of situation. Like, I don't want to get drunk in front of them because they remember what I'm like.
Yeah.
But I think I respect the idea of someone coming and not drinking, because it's voluntary. I'm not going to do that. There's a massive wave of social pressure to do something. I'm just going to stand over here and do my own thing.
You'd be surprised. One thing that I was very surprised about was how quickly people kind of cottoned onto it a little bit. Like, I haven't made a massive song and dance about it. I've probably mentioned it online 3 times and then once in a podcast over 5.5 months. And a lot of people know that I'm doing it. And that's people saying, mate, are you still not drinking? Have I heard this right? Are you doing... And they look at me like I'm like from an alien planet or something. Like, are you doing 5 months? Mate, I can't do 5 minutes sober.
You're from a world where alcohol is part of it, aren't you? So without alcohol, your world probably wouldn't.
It is literally the lifeblood of it.
Yeah.
It is literally the lifeblood of it. But no, I think, like, sort of in conclusion, anything taken to excess is an error, and that includes sobriety. And I think that as humans, we struggle to find moderation. We struggle to eat one biscuit out of the pack instead of none or all of them. And
we have to swing between the extremes to stick to something.
So
would you recommend that people
absolutely
give a stint
obviously I think I'm probably a little bit biased at the moment, but at the end of 5 and a bit months, progress in the gym has been probably the best it's been for a few years. Mental sharpness and mental clarity has definitely gone up, and I can attribute a lot of that to the fact that I haven't been slowing myself down with alcohol. I feel like incredibly healthy, and I've been able to spend time doing stuff that I genuinely value. So I've been able to meditate a lot more frequently. My mobility's gone up because I've not missed days doing mobility. My fitness has gone up because I've not missed days doing fitness. So looking back over the last 5 and a bit months, I can feel proud about the level of productivity that I've met because I haven't been distracted. So as opposed to looking back and going, I did have some really, really good nights out. However, on the flip side of that, if you did that for an entire lifetime, you'd just be really, really productive, but you wouldn't enjoy any of the variety that comes with the social situations you're missing out on.
So it's using an extreme to find balance.
Yeah, but it could be. You could look at it as periodizing. So this is a period where I wanted to be particularly productive. I wanted to focus on the business. I wanted to focus on training and mobility and a bunch of other things that I thought were going to be important to me. And sure enough, it turned out to be quite important. And now that I've achieved a particular level, a maintenance level, where I feel now that I could reintroduce alcohol back into my life and still be able to hold on to some of those habits because they've been settled more.
So I think that's the lesson, isn't it? It's find what your vice is, or your something that.
So just so that the listeners can hear, Yusuf's been looking at his watch for the last 5 minutes because he's got to get off because he's going for dinner. But rather than wait until we finish the podcast, he's taking his trousers off in the middle of it. Right next to
just
him.
Getting naked.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have finished about 5-10 minutes ago.
Oh, right, okay.
Chris was coming out with some absolute gems, so I thought I'll leave you guys to wrap up.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, so in conclusion, worth giving a stint a go of alcohol-free, see what you learn from it.
Or something free.
Something free.
Whatever is a weakness or something that you default to or is having a big toll on your time.
I think that it needs to be the toll on your time, because if it's something that's a weakness, if we went back to people who cut out caffeine and stuff like that, it may benefit your health in the absolute long run, but I don't think it doesn't have a cost effect on your time. Your productivity is going to go down because of the lack of that. If it was something like reducing the use of your time, stopping playing video games, not using your phone after 11 p.m, not watching TV after 11 p.m, or something like that, I think that those things
that's what needs to change
are enabling rather than restrictive.
Well, this is obviously quite a big topic, and I think if you guys want to hear us discuss this in more depth, give us a shout on the Facebook page or the comments, and let us know what you want to hear us address. Otherwise, that is a short podcast from Propane Fitness and Chris. Speak to you guys next week.